Hello and welcome to Fat Can Too. Being significantly overweight can lead to lots of people feeling overwhelmed at the thought of even starting a fitness journey, let alone running. The aim of this channel is to show you that it can be done, and in this video I want to give you some of my top tips that have helped me start my running journey after 7 years of a sedentary lifestyle. These aren't ranked by importance or saving the best until last or any of that YouTube nonsense. These are just about 10 tips that I've found have helped me make running a daily part of my routine. I do think number 8 is quite important. In reality, it's probably number 9. But without further ado, let's get started. Kit. To be clear, you don't actually need to go out and buy a brand new wardrobe full of clothes to undertake any fitness journey, and the chances are with running and walking, you've already got everything you could possibly need to get started. However, I am going to be very hypocritical now, and I'm about to list a bunch of kit that you might just want to make sure that you've got in your arsenal to make sure that you have the most comfortable, stress-free running journey that you can. I'm a big fan of comfort in my clothing, and clothing that is very fit for purpose. So I'm going to run through the key things for me with a bigger body shape that have helped me make running a consistent part of my fitness lifestyle. Shoes. Undoubtedly, this is the most important part of your kit, and getting this right is very important. You can ultimately start running in any pair of shoes you own, but making sure that you've got shoes that are fit for purpose and are made for running is going to serve you much better than a pair of fashion shoes or a pair of trainers that you've owned for maybe 10 years or more. When I started out with a pair of £30 New Balance trainers off Amazon. They were great, but they didn't last me long. And when I realised that running was something that I was going to stick with and I was keen to add into my daily routine, I spec'd up into more running specific shoes. Running does put significantly larger forces through your knees and your feet, so getting the shoes right is really important, because when you're overweight, that injury avoidance is really important. So I'm going to run through the importance of this later on, and we'll have a video coming up specifically looking at running shoes for overweight runners. If you are going to go out and buy anything, the one thing I would highly recommend is a good pair of shoes. If you need to, start with a cheap pair of running specific shoes like I did to make sure that it is something you're going to stick with in the long term. Once you do, you can then look at those more running specific shoes. Do make sure you're only wearing those shoes for running. Don't use them in your day-to-day comings and goings like going to the supermarket, because you'll wear them out and you need that comfort, support and stability. Shorts. This was another big one for me. Even slim people have rubbed thighs when they're running, so when you add that extra circumference that we've got when we're running, a good pair of fitting shorts is really important. I found that wearing looser fitting shorts is much easier. I can tuck it up between my legs. I did try cycling style shorts, but I was a little bit self-conscious. So if you're the same as me, baggier is often better. Something for males to consider too is what you're wearing underneath those shorts. I did try boxers, but they're a little bit too loose fitting if you get my drift. So a cheap pair of Primark Y-fronts has done the trick for me, and I don't run without them. Tops. As I said earlier, anything will do. Just bear in mind that cotton tops is going to soak up your sweat like a sponge once you get going. You want to be aiming for more polyester style tops, like old football shirts for example, if you've already got them. Again, think about comfort, and if you're a bit self-conscious like me, maybe go for something a bit more baggier. But to be honest, no one is going to be paying that much attention to you. Most people are obsessed either with their phones or themselves, let's be honest. Ladies, I'm not offered to qualify sage advice on sports bras, however my sources tell me that comfort and fit trumps anything else. In terms of getting started, this is all you're going to need. Oh, hang on, socks as well. Make sure you got some socks. I did struggle initially with how to carry my things with me, such as my house keys and my phone. I've tried lots of different things. I've seen advice on tying your house keys into your shoelaces. I have gone for an armband, and that works really, really well for me. The other thing to say is that is all I literally take with me, is my phone and my house keys. I don't take my cards out with me, I don't need them. I don't take a bottle out with them, I'm not running long enough to need one. Keep yourself as unburdened as possible to make just getting out the door as easy as possible. Also, you don't need a fancy sports watch to track your run. If tracking is something you want to do, there are apps such as Strava out there that will do it for you completely free, and you could get started using that. Just make sure you go through the privacy settings and make sure that you're not sharing your whereabouts with the world. Motivation. I want to be completely clear at this point. I do not run for weight loss. You heard that right. It has been categorically proven that exercise alone has zero impact on your body's ability to lose weight. If weight loss is your goal, diet is what you need to look at. And to be honest, that's something I'm looking to avoid because that's a very touchy subject for lots of people. Your fitness journey is personal to you, as it's personal to me, it's personal to everyone. Fitness needs to be something you're doing for you. You need to find that motivation internally, not feeling accountable to someone else or doing it because of someone else. It could be just to better yourself. Maybe you want to take on a challenge. Maybe your children are getting bigger and you want to keep up with them. Whatever it is, that motivation needs to come from you. Now that you've got that drive and motivation, here's the contradiction. Motivation lasts days at most. Maybe a week if you're lucky. For some people it can last minutes. Motivation will get you out the door and get you started, but it's not the thing that's going to get you out in the morning when it's pouring cats and dogs and you've never run in the rain before. It's not the thing that after you've done your first couple of runs and your muscle soreness is extreme that's going to make you think, yeah, I'm going to do this again. The thing that you need in these moments is discipline. Discipline is the thing that is going to make sure you're getting your kit ready the night before. Discipline is the thing that's going to get you out of that door even when your brain is telling you it really doesn't want to. Habit stack to give yourself a no excuses mindset. When I'm going back downstairs from doing the children's bedtime, I'll take tomorrow's running kit with me and put it by the door along with my running shoes. Plus, I have a drawer down there with everything I can need in it to running, whether it's my head torch, a cap, my armband, some gloves. Now, I'm obviously not going to be wearing all of those at once, but the fact that everything I could possibly need is there means I have no excuses not to do it. Also, when you're sorting your kit, I find bundling it up into one roll of everything I need, shorts, top, underwear, socks, means that I'm just grabbing one thing and it's all there, rather than putting my things away by tops here, shorts here, socks here. Set yourself a realistic medium to long-term goal, such as 1 kilometre without stopping. Then work backwards and work out what you need to do from there. For example, if you ran 100 metres without stopping last time, try and increase it to 150 metres or 200 metres next time you go out. Map it out if you need to. Aim to meet or exceed your micro targets every time you're going out. These small steps are the true secret in how to reach those bigger goals, like running 5k without stopping or going all the way up to a marathon. I am a big fan of fitness tech, and I know it's not for everyone, but the Garmin badge system gives me little side quests to keep me motivated and go out even when my legs are slightly sore or I'm not quite keen on the cold weather outside. Ultimately, I want next month's me to be grateful that today's me put the work in. Now, Joe Wicks has a great phrase that he's used before, that the motivation to work out comes after the workout itself. And in those early days when you're just starting out, that can be incredibly frustrating. But believe me, it is true, and tomorrow's you will absolutely thank you for it. Find a time that works for you. We're living in a period of life where everyone's schedules are really busy, whether it's work, family commitments, other life commitments. Maybe waking up between 4 or 5 every morning to go out for a run isn't your idea of a cup of tea, but it works for me. I can fit it in around my work commitments, I can still be there to support my family, and it means I'm not taking away time from anything. In fact, it helps set me up for the day perfectly. Maybe the evenings work better for you. Maybe you're a night shift worker and the middle of the day is the only time you could possibly do it. Ultimately, what you need to be aiming for is a time of the day that you know you can commit to at least 3 times a week. Weekends make this a bit easier. Block those times out every single day of the week, and then that just helps you build up that consistency in getting out there more often. Expectations. Whether you're coming in from another sport or whether you've spent years doing nothing at all, just temper your expectations. Just getting out the front door and doing something new is a big win in and of itself. If you can do this day after day, that's phenomenal. Absolutely nobody wakes up, starts running, and can run 400 metres like Keely Hodgkinson, or can run a marathon like Kipchoge. It doesn't matter whether you're running a kilometre in 3 minutes or 10 minutes. Just getting out the door means you're beating the you of yesterday. This is the biggest reward, and it can get really addictive. The human body has been designed to run and walk for thousands of years. This isn't something that your body is going to have been trained out of doing. The important thing to remember is, although the mechanics are there, things like your muscles and joints aren't used to the loads that you're going to be putting through, and these do need to be trained up. The first couple of runs are going to feel quite uncomfortable, but trust me when I say by the 3rd time, you're going to feel like a different person. You are going to experience delayed onset muscle soreness, or DOMS, after those first few runs. Now, although this can be incredibly uncomfortable, this is a completely natural thing to occur, and it's just your body's way of saying, I'm adapting, let me rest for a bit, and let's go again in a couple of days. Start small and simple. Run or jog until you get out of breath, and walk to get a break. Even marathon runners walk during a marathon. To add a bit of my personal context to this, I want to show you the first 3 runs I ever did, taking running up for the first time in 2020 at the age of 33. Here, in my first ever run, I run-walked. This meant running until I felt uncomfortable, then walking to recover. The longest running section of my 18-minute workout was 420 metres. A couple of them were 120 metres. The point I'm trying to illustrate here is that you don't have to run the whole thing. I gave myself a week before doing the same distance, 2.5 kilometres again. This week allowed my body to fully recover from running for the first time since I was in school, and importantly, that first run set my benchmark of how to improve. On my next run, I managed 2 half-a-kilometre run sections. Then, 2 days later, only my 3rd ever run, I managed that 5k benchmark. This is the target for many runners, to go up and get a 5k time. Again, I was run-walking, but I managed a whole mile of running before I started my first walk break. And again, I'm a big fan of setting benchmarks and going out to try and beat them. And here, on just my 3rd ever run, I had hit the 5k mark and therefore my first benchmark to beat. Now, I'm sure there are some people looking at this thinking, that is very slow. That's not a great effort. And you know what? You're probably right. But you're probably not over 120 kilos and have a history of running. I didn't, and my journey is personal to me. You may go out and absolutely smash what I did. You may be slower. It doesn't matter. Your journey is yours, not anybody else's. Set yourself a benchmark, however terrible that may be, and go out and smash it. No competition. I have alluded to this strongly in the last 2 sections. I am never going out and comparing myself to Duathlon Dave, the Team GB age group duathlon athlete. I'm not trying to beat Sarah across the road, who went sub 20 minutes in the 5k last weekend at Parkrun. The only person whose performances matter are mine. This is important when you start, because let's be honest, us bigger people, we are slow. Really slow. Comparison is the thief of joy, and if you're going out comparing yourself every time you go out and run, you're very quickly going to find yourself demotivated and giving up. Do the work you need to do. You're going to naturally see progress for about the first month without really putting in any significant increases in effort. Enjoy the progress you are making in your own time. It's the journey that is fun, not the destination. Body image. This was actually my biggest barrier to starting. I had all the kit I could possibly need for weeks before I actually had the courage to step out the door and start running. I was petrified of strangers staring at me, laughing, making comments, and the truth is, nobody cares. Like I said earlier, people are either glued to their phones or they're more concerned about themselves. When I'm seeing someone out running, what am I thinking? Good for them. I hope they're going to absolutely smash it today. And that's probably what the majority of people are thinking too when they see you. When you do go out and you see fellow runners and dog walkers out, I have found every single person to be incredibly friendly and supportive, and I'm sure that you will find that true too. Music. Now, I'm aware this is a completely personal preference for everyone. Some people find making playlists of specific BPM or beats per minute to help them run really helps them and can motivate them through tough parts of the run. For me, I will always run, cycle, walk, whatever it is, without music, and I'll explain why in a minute. If you are someone that loves listening to music while you run, there are a plethora of in-ear headphones and even bone induction headphones that you can wear that still help you hear the world around you. There are, of course, over-the-ear headphones as well, but you might find that you get a little bit hot wearing those during the summer months. The reason I don't wear headphones when I'm out running is for a couple of reasons. Firstly, it's safety. I always go out on my runs very early in the morning, so I can hear a car coming from over a mile away. I can hear if someone's shuffling around a corner I'm about to pelt round at 5 minutes a kilometre pace. It means I'm completely in touch with my surroundings. I used to cycle commute to work, so I was out often in the dark in the evenings and the early mornings to get to work on time and get home on time. Now, I was very safety conscious, and I would often ride on cycle paths and off roads with huge front lights on and a backpack with such a reflective covering you could probably see it from the International Space Station. It was incredible how many people didn't spot the 120 kilo plus guy riding the brightly lit bike until I was almost on top of them. Do you know why? Most of them had headphones in or were just stuck in their phones looking at whatever it is, social media. Being completely aware of my surroundings keeps me safe, and I think that's something really important to bear in mind when you're starting your running journey. The other thing is I live a very loud lifestyle. My work life is very loud. My home life with 3 young children is very loud. Those natural sounds, the bird calls, the waves lapping because I'm by the coast, they really ground me, and for my mental health it's just incredible to have that natural sound and silence for up to an hour or two every morning. Go for a poo. Now you might be thinking I've put this one in for a joke or to get clicks, whatever it is, but genuinely go for a poo before you go for a run. Your body does a lot of up and down, a lot of twisting, and that really loosens up your bowels. If you don't believe me, go for a run without doing a poo and let me know how it goes. Actually, no, don't tell me how it goes. Just don't do it again. Injury prevention. Now I'm on my second stint of making running a part of my daily routine after having a break for cycle commuting with the new job. The first 6 months of my running journey this time, I spent purely on making sure I was building up a strong, resilient body and making sure I was staying away from any injuries. This is really important because it not only does it help you keep that consistency in your running, it stops you having any complications. For example, in my first running journey back in 2020, I got a little bit carried away one evening on a run, and instead of doing my 10% step up to 7k, I thought, I'm feeling pretty good, I'm at the 6k mark, why don't I just go up to the 10k? Pretty much as soon as I crossed that 7k barrier, I could feel a little niggle in my left foot. By about 8.5k, that niggle was really quite painful. I finally finished my first ever 10k in the bag, feeling pretty good about it, but in quite a lot of pain. I then spent next to about a month off from running with shin splints and tendonitis in my foot. All that progress that I built up to was undone by being silly on one run. This time, injury prevention was my number one priority. I kept my heart rate and my speed low on every single run. Although it did get boring at times, it meant that I was able to keep my body stable, injury-free, and build up that all-important consistency I needed, quickly going up to 4 or 5 days a week, compared to sticking with mostly 3 the first time round. Obviously, running can cause injuries, but as an overweight person, your chances of having a significant injury from running is actually nothing compared to the death sentence we're carrying around our midriff by not exercising at all. Take it easy. Don't get obsessed with arbitrary distances or paces, and just get out there and get your body stronger, and eventually you'll be able to take on those challenges without worrying about injuries occurring. Mind over matter. I've been a huge fan of Dr. Steve Peters for over 20 years now, and I think his 2012 book The Chimp Paradox should actually be a national book that everyone is reading on their 18th birthday. I'm going to really badly surmise the way that he puts across the psychology here, with the brain being split into 3 parts. The human, the chimp, and the computer. The computer is a completely background system that stores things like your memories and things that you don't need to think about regularly. The human and the chimp are more conscious thinking beings in your brain. The human is calm and rational and helps you with those day-to-day tasks. The chimp, however, is that really reptilian side of your brain, the one that gives you intrusive thoughts, the one that probably has already told you that running isn't going to be for you or you're too big to even do it. When you start running, your brain and your body aren't going to tell you to stop. They're going to yell at you to stop. What you need to do is silence those doubting voices in your brain, and that is actually the hardest thing about running. Having competed at an elite level at cycling in my early 20s, I can tell you that when your body is starting to feel tired, you're not even 30% of the way of being worn out. You've got to find whatever strategy works for you to get that chimp in your brain to be quiet and stop telling you can't do it. Sometimes it can just be stubbornness. Well, I'm going to show you. I'm going to get this done despite what you say. Sometimes it can be, well, tomorrow's me is going to thank me for it, so I'm going to stick with this today, thanks, chimp. Whatever works for you. Dr. Steve Peters was recently on Paula Radcliffe's Marathon Running podcast, so if you are into podcasts, try and find that one and find the episode with Steve Peters, because he actually did talk about this in quite detail, and I think it would be very helpful. Another podcast I listen to that talks to elite athletes such as Olympians and world champions is the High Performance Podcast. And they quite frequently ask their athletes, what do you think the percentage balance is between the mental and physical aspect of your sport? What do you think the average is that comes out? The average on the show was about 70% mental and 30% physical, with some guests even saying the physical aspect of their sport only accounts for 10% of what they do. with the mental strength they need being up to 90%. I would agree with that 70-30 split. It's not just your physical abilities that can be trained, it's also your mental ones. Just as you're giving your body a stimuli and it will improve and grow, give your brain the stimuli and show it that it too can grow and be more resilient and stronger for you as you're building up these distances and paces that you're aiming for. Your true strength and progress will come from your mental fortitude. See the challenges that you've got coming up as something to inspire you, not something that's daunting. Those are my top 10 tips for anyone who's overweight and is considering taking up running or any form of exercise. I really hope this was helpful to you, even if it was just one little tidbit of what I've been rambling on about today. I do know, obviously from my own first-hand experience, it can be incredibly overwhelming from getting out there and starting in the first place. But just by getting to this point now, you've already made great progress. Now you just need to get out the door. For those of you already on this fitness journey, is there anything that I've missed? Thank you so much for taking the time to watch and listen to this video. I promise that as I get more into this and I have more B-roll footage, you'll see less of this face. If it's been helpful or inspiring at all, please like, comment, subscribe, as it just helps the algorithm get it to more people that might find this video useful. Thank you again. Hopefully I'll see you next time. Remember, fat can too.